Good morning, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 21st of March. Holidays are upon us, and we're going to be having a wonderful spring. I was just telling Charles about the beautiful flowers outside my window. That spring has definitely sprung. And Charles today is going to be talking about fringe benefits and what to do if it's not a wage and how it gets taxed, if anything, and how we log it into Dash. We've got a lot coming up in the next few weeks, so please stay tuned to the end. Thank you very much, Charles. It's all yours.
Thank you very much, Saundra. So yes, you can see from the title on our page here that says it must be taxed, however, it's not wages, what to do. And for that, we're going to go ahead and just go through a few slides to talk about this. And I did pull some information from the IRS. We do have some resources. And then what I'm going to do is show you how we handle those in Dash. So first off, let's go to the first slide. A fringe benefit, this is what we're talking about today, when they're not actual wages, right? They're not their hourly rate for the number of hours they work, but it's something else. A fringe benefit is a form of pay, including property, services, cash, or cash equivalent, in addition to stated pay for the performance of services. Under Internal Revenue Code, otherwise known as the IRC, Section 61, all income is taxable unless an exclusion applies. So if there is an exclusion, it's specifically stated in the Internal Revenue Code. Everything else is just considered taxable. And so the next slide, we have some forms of additional compensation are specifically designated as fringe benefits in the IRC. Others, such as moving expenses or awards, are addressed by statutory provisions providing for special tax treatment, but are not designated technically as fringe benefits by the IRC. And a little note on moving expenses, this is where you do want to sometimes pay attention to changes in the code and the law, because from 2018 to 2025, qualified moving expense reimbursements are no longer excluded from employees' income, with two exceptions. Military personnel that are on active duty or had to move for some sort of requirement of their duty, or reimbursements for moves that took place prior to January 1st of 2018. This is how things can change. Before 2018, there were things called qualified moving expenses. And I think maybe hopefully that will be sunsetted in 2025, where they could continue where it can no longer be excluded. That's something that changes. So you do want to pay attention to these things. Now, the types of tax treatment of fringe benefits are taxable, such as this is basically everything that, as it's mentioned, that is not otherwise specifically excluded by statute. Non-taxable, that's going to be one where there is no tax to it, and that can be something like your qualified health benefits, such as what's known as a cafeteria plan or a Section 125 plan, which is what most medical, dental, vision, that kind of thing falls under. Partially taxable, that can be something like a public transportation subsidy, which is a fringe benefit that can be applied, or maybe even a group term life, which has certain requirements where it's over a certain threshold, then it does have to be included in income. And then there's tax deferred, and that's something like 401k, which has the income tax deferred until the distribution, right, when they retire. And then also, where did we get this information? We have a useful guide that we were able to pull from the IRS. It's the IRS Fringe Benefit Guide. There's a little picture of the first page of it, and we will be showing you at the end where you can go to actually retrieve this yourself. It goes into more detail over the individual types. It also goes into things like reimbursements, right? Reimbursements are considered a fringe benefit, like cell phones. How do you report them? Are they taxable? That kind of thing. De minimis fringe benefits, transportation, all sorts of things that, whether they have taxes applied or whether they do not. And there's certain categories that don't. And again, as I said before, if it doesn't specifically state it in statute, it's taxable. And then as we're going along, I'm just going to show you another thing, because we went through all this. It's really quick, basically an explanation of fringe benefits. The next thing I'm going to show you is how we apply them. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up our Dash portal. Okay, and so we go in here and I'm going to show you a couple of types because we have had at the end of the year, and we went over this in some of our year-end guides, the shareholders premium, which is also considered a type of fringe benefit because it's when a shareholder is treated as an employee in the system, and they also happen to be getting a benefit in that their health premiums are being paid by the company. That's considered additional compensation. It's a fringe benefit, and it has to be reported. But they also don't want it to be additional pay to the employee. So how do we handle that? Well, we go in on the company level, and we will set up the earning or deduction for these different items. So I'm just going to show you real quick where we go for that so you get an idea. And this is showing you a little bit of the inner workings of what we do in here. Shareholders premium. So we have it set up where the tax setup is applied because we use a earning type, as you see right here. Let me highlight it again. Shareholders, the partners and so forth. This is an earning type. That's how we designate the tax application. And this is one that's going to be called an in and out because we apply it to the employee for purposes of tax calculation, and then we back it out with a matching deduction so they aren't paid this additionally, right? So when we're reporting it, we don't want it to go towards their net pay as well because they already got that benefit. So when we have something like that, we could have something like personal use of company car where we report the fair market value for it, for that service, and then we back it out so it doesn't add to their net. They're not getting money that they shouldn't be because the compensation is in the form of the car itself. And then other ones that we do, again, are ones like 401k. And as you can see, we do those types. It's got a 401k type right here. Or say, let's see, where was that? I did section 125, if I can find it. Yes, section 125 right here also has that type. And we just have a list and we use the appropriate one for the type of fringe benefit. Now, how do we know which fringe benefit is being applied? How do we know which one to use? Normally, that is something that you tell us. Things like 401k and section 125 or 403b, anything that has a number, that is referring to the section of the Internal Revenue Code. When you are setting up these benefits, whoever is your benefit provider or whoever is assisting you tax-wise would be able to tell you, this is this type of benefit. You let us know, we can set it up. Okay, so I put all this together basically to give you the information as to what you have for these fringe benefit options. And if we go back to the screen, the slideshow, there's further information right here. So that fringe benefit guide is the one at the bottom. We also have the IRS publication 15B, which is the technical publication for the different types of fringe benefits. It's specifically for that, and it goes to the technical details. And then there's the IRS employee benefits page where you can retrieve publication 15B and also see more information as well. It gives you other links to other types of benefits for your employees. So at this point, I'm open to any questions.
One of the things that you mentioned was fringe benefits, and as you were scrolling in your dash portal, I saw fringe as one of the words that you went by. Is that one of the codes that we use, for example, for a cell phone or something like that?
That can be a specific one. Well, it can be kind of a catch-all, you will, because these other ones have specific tax coding. So that fringe benefit would probably be like a catch-all for the types of fringe benefits as they are codified in the Internal Revenue Code. That being said, certain things that happen, like cell phone reimbursements, if it's not a consequential amount, they may not require you to show it. Right? There are specific information on that, and I'll go back to the slide. Is if you go in there and you look at this right here, this guide, that actually goes into, it's got like a graph. When I went through it, it's got like this graph where it talks about the different kinds of reimbursements and whether or not they are taxable or not taxable. This is a really useful guide. It's the one I would say that the employers would be using instead of tax professionals. You could still use publication 15B, but it reads like what you would say an IRS document usually reads. This one is more user-friendly. This is the easier read for the fringe benefits. And then if you enjoy reading those technical details, that is usually you find in the IRS documents, then you would go use the publication 15B, but they cover the same thing. And so, like I said, this one does go over things like those reimbursements. When is it taxed? When is it not taxed? And that kind of thing. Now, when you tell us how that benefit should be applied, we go in and we make sure that the tax setup is correct based upon what information we're provided. We generally don't recommend like this is taxed this way, this is taxed the other way. We tell you this is where you can go to determine if what you have falls within those guidelines.
And also we refer you to your financial advisor too, just to be sure that you have your answers correctly answered by somebody who's in the financial world who gets all of that too. Our job is to just do what you tell us to do. And so we would really want you to check with your financial advisors so that you get the correct answer, so that we're at least coding it the right way when it comes down to W-2s at the end of the year. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We hope you found the information useful, and we are very, very pleased and thankful that you are part of our PayrollCentric family. Goodbye for now.